Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning and today I'm joined by my co-host Pearse McLaughlin. Hello Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast we'll be reacting to last weekend's Champions League Final, and we'll also be giving a little bit of news around European football. So me and Pearse will discuss that, and at the end of the podcast Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So we'll start off. So just before we get into the Champions League final, obviously the usual, we're not talking about results because that's the season finished now, so we don't really have much to talk about in terms of results. But there was obviously one match last weekend, which was the Champions League final, which was between PSG and Inter Milan, and we found out PSG were confirmed Champions League winners after they defeated Inter Milan 5-0 on the night. I think that was the biggest result in a Champions League final in terms of scoring 5-0. I think that's the worst defeat for a club as well. So a little bit of history there. So Pearse, what was your thoughts on that match?
I was surprised, to be honest, because I thought Inter Milan have been pretty consistent. Didn't really concede a lot of goals during the Champions League campaign. Apart from the semi-final when they played Barcelona, which was like the most probably, I think it was probably the most entertaining ties in terms of two-legged affair. And obviously rode the luck a lot as well to get to the Champions League final, which you need in the Champions League. And I think they just ran out of luck in the final, and I thought PSG had their number for absolutely everything, because I thought Inter Milan couldn't get the fullbacks into the game. They couldn't control the middle of the park. They couldn't really play the ball at the back. They were making mistakes, and then they were trying to go long, and then the PSG defender was just dropping deep. So they couldn't really do anything, and I don't think they really tested Donnarumma too much throughout the game. And I think 5-0 flattered Inter Milan, to be honest. I thought it could have been a lot more, and that's saying that's a Champions League final you're talking about. It shouldn't be like that, because I thought Inter Milan they've got a quality side, they've got a quality coach, but this PSG side, they're just really well coached under Luis Enrique. And this is a side that, let's be honest, Tom, at the start of the group stage, they squeaked in the last game. They might not even made it to the playoff round. But since they went to the playoff round, they've kicked on. They've got the players in January that they needed to reinforce, and they've done what they've had to do. And let's be honest, in the game, I thought players like Vitinha, Dembele, Doué, and then Kvaratskhelia were just electrifying, and then the two fullbacks were just bombing on, offering so much energy. I just thought the game plan was spot on by PSG, and I thought they thoroughly deserved it. And yeah, it could have been a lot more, and congratulations on PSG in the first Champions League trophy. But let's be honest, Tom, it's not down to all these young players coming through. They have spent a lot of money as well, similar to Man City.
Yeah.
It was going to happen eventually. They have went away from that old guard of like Messi, Neymar, Mbappe, because like three of those players were elite level players, and the players behind them weren't really at that level, and they didn't really attack, and it was kind of like unbalanced side, and the front three didn't really press or track back. Whereas you look at the team, this is a proper team. Everyone fights, everyone moves, everyone follows instructions, everyone presses, and they pressed Inter Milan really high and forced the mistakes, forced them to go long, and then they take possession. And I thought they dominated the game from start to finish, and yeah, I thought they really deserved it. And I thought Doué, for a young man at 19, to get 2 goals and assist in the Champions League final, youngest player ever to get a goal and assist in the Champions League final, is a remarkable achievement. And probably the best bit of the night was at the end when Luis Enrique seen the tifo of his daughter, who sadly lost a few years ago. So that was probably a good poignant moment in the whole match as itself. But PSG Champions League winners, thoroughly deserved.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't really give a preview to the game last week because there was no podcast. And if we had given a preview, I mean, for me, I would have said, "Oh, this will be a tight game." But I would have said PSG would win, but I thought it was going to be a tight game. But no way did I think it was going to end 5-0 to PSG. I mean, it was an absolute battering PSG gave to Inter Milan. It really was. It could have been more. In terms of PSG, they were just so much better than Inter Milan. They were much more energetic. They had much more pace. I could tell from the first couple of minutes in the game that, I could just tell that PSG. I just said to myself, yeah, PSG are definitely going to win this because they just looked far more fluent than PSG and much more, ready for the match. Because I felt like Inter Milan looked a little bit tired. But in terms of PSG, just sticking with them, I mean, you can go right through the pitch. And every single one of the players was unbelievable. Obviously the attacking players were just superb. The boy Dewey, I mean, what a player he's going to be. I mean, what a player. Wow, he was unbelievable. 2 goals, as you said, an assist. He was unbelievable on the night. Like for Kvaratskhelia, who we do know a lot about, but I mean, what a season he's had. That's the Champions League he's won. He's won the French league, and he's also got a Serie A medal because Napoli won the title. So what a season he's had. So the two wingers, and then the midfield was really good. Neves, Fabian Ruiz, and Vitinha, who bossed the midfield. I mean, in the middle of the park, he just bossed it. But the one player, Ousmane Dembele, he didn't score on the night, but I felt he was sort of underappreciated. I don't think a lot of people noticed what he did because the amount of pressing he did on the night off the ball. Because the moment Inter would had a goal kick, they'd play it out, and Dembele was just right on top of the Inter Milan defenders, and he gave them no time at all. I mean, the energy he must have taken out of himself in that match was unbelievable. So he was definitely worth a shout out. And I mean, in defensive goalkeeper, they didn't really do anything. They didn't really need to defend. Donnarumma had nothing to do. It was just total domination from PSG. Their first Champions League trophy. Because we all know for the last few years that this was the competition they were desperate to win. They tried the superstar sort of tactic plan where they would sign all the big players and the best players, as we know the list, likes of the Messi, Neymar, etc. Didn't work, and they've gone down a route where they're going to attract younger players and sort of young players that have got points to prove, so to speak, in the game, and it's worked for them really well. And I would definitely say now PSG. I mean, how do you even improve that team? When I think about it, how do you even improve it? I mean, it's a perfect team for me. In my opinion, it's the best team in the world. That's the best team in the world for me. I can't think of another team that are better than PSG. They're just like throughout the park. They just get so much talent, and they're all so young as well. So, I think for PSG fans, they're going to be in for a good few years if they can keep hold of that squad. And for Inter Milan, I mean, they were just terrible on the night. What I noticed most about Inter Milan was how tired they looked. They had no energy in the game, and they had a really old team as well. I mean, their midfield, for example, like Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan, both of them in their middle 30s, they couldn't cope with the midfield of PSG because they were just running around everywhere and they just couldn't cope with it. The likes of Acerbi, you know, he's quite old now. He's like 36, 37, couldn't cope as well with the movement of PSG going forward. They just didn't offer anything. And the left wing back, DeMarco, I mean, he got absolutely roasted. I mean, that Dewey just gave him a horrid time. He really did. And he get hooked after 50 minutes in the match. And I think he was glad. I said there was a bit when he came off and he was spirited off. I think he was just glad to get off the pitch because he was just getting absolutely roasted the whole match.
The thing with DeMarco is that he's really good going forward, but I think defensively he is a bit.
Defensively, he's really
Yeah.
He was at fault for the first goal. I mean, Hakimi's goal, he was far, far too deep in terms of the Milan defence had pushed up. He was far too deep. I don't even know what he was doing really. And then the second goal Dewey scored, it deflected off him and went in. So it just was not his night at all. He has a good wing back, but defensively he is pretty poor.
You can see that about a lot of other wing backs, like Theo Hernandez isn't the best defensively. Not the best defensively. You've got Trent, who's not the best defensively, but what they offer going forward. But in the game specifically, DeMarco couldn't get involved going forward, and defensively was very poor. So I think easy decision to take them off.
Yeah, it definitely was. But they just didn't offer anything at Milan at all. Like Lautaro Martinez and Thuram just weren't even in the game. I forgot Martinez was being played. So it was a really bad night for them. They're definitely in need of a rebuild at Milan because they lost the title in the last day. They've ended the season trophyless. So
yeah, they were on course at one point for the quadruple.
Yep, and they've ended it trophyless. And the manager, I think there's chat of him possibly leaving Inzaghi.
Yeah,
I think so. There's a team that really want him to become the new manager. So, for Inter Milan's got a big summer because it showed on Saturday that they're nowhere near the top elite level because they were just nowhere near in the match. But yeah, congratulations to PSG, their first Champions League title. And I'm sure, I don't know about you, Pearse, but I'm pretty confident there's going to be more to come from them because that is one amazing team that they've got.
But one thing I will say though, they'll not win it back to back.
No, do you know what? Yeah,
because most sides is regardless if you're the best side in Europe or not. Because look at the Barcelona team that was probably arguably the greatest of all time. They didn't win it 2 years in a row. The only side that have done that in recent years was 3 years in a row with Real Madrid, and even then, that was a really tough achievement, and I don't think that'll ever be repeated. So many sides have won it and have maybe went a year would have dropped off a little bit, and then they've won it again the following year. But I think next year we will see sides get stronger. We will see more competition, more drama, more thrills. But they are the best side in Europe at the moment, and probably they will be the best side in the world for this year or two. But like I say, I think the one area they could improve is possibly centre half and striker. But apart from that, midfield and attack, and especially the wide areas, are pretty settled.
Yeah, I mean they've got the boy Barcola. I mean, what a player he is! He can't even get in the team.
Yeah, I think totally Liverpool.
Sorry,
Talkie, I'm going to Liverpool.
Maybe I don't, but he can't get in that team.
Yeah.
And I mean, what a player he is. So, but I was just going to ask you, Pearse, about the Champions League. Have you enjoyed it this year? Because this was the first year with a new setup where there wasn't the group stages where you had 4 teams in each group. So it was like a league table Champions League format. So have you enjoyed it?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was superb because it's like Jeopardy, because the fact is you can't really, you've got home and away ties, and sometimes like when you play the home and away, you're playing like a side, maybe like a really low rated seeded side home and away, and usually you beat them quite comfortably, and the bigger sides don't really play their strongest sides throughout the whole campaign. But with this system, you have to play your strongest side because it's like a league table. One goal makes a massive difference. You could go up 4 places, go down 4 places. It was like Jeopardy. And you've seen that PSG, Man City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, they all scraped through the playoff round. Bayern Munich as well. So massive sides had to scrape through the playoff in the last day. And like you say, Scottish contingent, Celtic managed to get the playoff round, and they were, like you say, 90th minute away for getting extra time and potentially go to quarterfinals. So in terms of stuff like that, it gives the smaller teams with smaller budgets a massive opportunity to then go and progress and challenge and compete. So for me, it's a really good format, and I thought there's a lot of goals and drama, and it added more excitement to the games, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. What I liked about it the most was the fact that you weren't playing the same team twice. Do you know what I mean? So like in the old format, you were playing one. You were in the group and you had to play that team home and away. But this year it was also different. You were playing a different team each week, which I quite liked. Because I was because there was always a match that you were like, oh, like every week there was a match there that was really exciting. Whereas in the group stages in the old format, I mean, you could guess the matches that were going to come up, and you were like, oh, not really, not really looking forward to that week. But because that's what I liked about it as well. The fact there was more games, I was slightly worried about because I thought, oh, the players, how they're going to react to that? Are they going to be, far too tired later on in the Champions League? Is the Champions League going to sort of fade away because the players have just put so much into it? But it was actually the opposite. It was really exciting, and it's actually given smaller teams a better chance because they've had more games to sort of try and build themselves into the competition. Because sometimes these smaller teams would go into the Champions League in the 14 format, they would lose their first two games and they know for a fact that was them already out. Whereas in this format, because there was more games, okay, if you started slow the first couple of matches, you've still got a chance to get into a playoff or even automatically. So that's what I liked about it as well. The fact that it gave the smaller teams a chance. And yeah, I was really cautious about it because I didn't understand it last season, but now that it's happened, I really like it, and yeah, I'm actually looking forward to it next season and to see how it gets on again. So yeah, really enjoyed it this season, and obviously we now know that PSG have won the title. So we'll move on now to a little bit of news around Europe. So we'll start off in Scottish football. So we found out today that Dundee have appointed a new manager, and that new manager is Stephen Pressley. So for anyone that doesn't really know Stephen Pressley, he was a former Scottish footballer, played for the likes of Hearts, Celtic. He had a few international caps as well. And then when he retired, he's went into management, managed the likes of Falkirk, Coventry. His last managerial job was Carlisle in 2019. So this is his first job in 6 years. So yeah, Dundee appointed Stephen Pressley. What's your thoughts, Pearse?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. We all know the name Stephen Pressley in Scottish football synonymous with Hearts, Celtic, and obviously came through at Rangers.
Yeah.
Terrific defender on his day. In terms of management, I think he's most noticeably for his time down in Coventry. I thought he'd done well. I think it was League One level. But like I say, he's been out of the game in terms of management game for a wee while. He's been like a player liaison, player advisor for young players at Brentford FC, helping them cope with the life on and off the pitch. So that sort of thing. So maybe that came into thinking of Dundee because they want to maybe help the young players they want to bring in and stuff like that. But in terms of managerial, pretty sure he'll be chomping at the bit to get back into Scottish football and back into a big job. And Dundee is a big gig in Scotland. Like I say, they just avoided the relegation playoff this season. They'll be wanting to build on that next season. They'll be hopefully push for top six. And they've got a nucleus of a good squad there. And obviously, he'll want to prove himself as a manager again. And like I say, Tony Docherty's left him in a good squad. And I'm pretty sure with the right tools in recruitment, I'm pretty sure with his pool and his name, his stature, he'll bring us some good names to Dundee. And I'm pretty sure he'll get to job pretty quickly. And pretty sure he'll be a success. If he wants to implement his style early on, and like I say, it's a pretty good move from Dundee because they've got the manager in early, so they've got the whole pre-season to work with the new players and getting those squads and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's an exciting move for Scottish football and Dundee. And for us, we don't really know much of Pressley as a manager in Scotland, so it'll be exciting to see up close, week in, week out, what we'll do with Dundee side. But nah, I'm really looking forward to
it. Yep. It's definitely a very interesting appointment. Just reading some of the fans from Dundee, I will be honest, not a lot of them are very happy. I think a lot of them are worried because obviously he's not managed a club in well, as I said, 6 years. His success as a manager hasn't been great. So I think um, the Dundee fans are slightly worried about that. But he has worked in the Premier League. So he was, I think he was scouting for, I think it was Brentford. And we all know the success Brentford have had in terms of players that they've signed. So in terms of Dundee, that might benefit them a lot because Stephen Pearce obviously might have a good contacts in terms of, and he might have eyes on players that are unheard of, and he might see something in them, and you never know, Dundee might bag themselves a couple of good players. So, but in terms of the season going forward for Dundee, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to expect for them, because he's been out of management for that long. I don't really know what he's going to bring to the table. But it'll definitely be interesting to see how it goes. And as you said, Tony Docherty has left Dundee a good squad, even though they did have a disappointing season. So yeah, Stephen Pressley appointed Dundee manager, and we'll see how that goes next season. And obviously we'll discuss what needs to be discussed when the time comes. So for the final part of the show, Pearse will now give his Asian football roundup.
Yeah, so there was K-League 1 action on the weekend, and that was Saturday, the 31st of May, with FC Anyang 1, Daejeon Citizen 1, FC Seoul 1, JJSK 3, Jumpers Union Motors FC 3, Ulsan HDFC 1, and then Sunday, 1st of June, with Daegu FC 1, Gwangju FC 1, Gimcheong Samu 1, Suwon FC 1, Pong Steelers 2, Gawon FC 1. So it's leading the top of the table looking like this. Top table have Junebuk on 35 points. Second, Daejeon Citizen on 32. And then Okra in third and final top three place is Ulsan on 29 points. And just outside on fourth is Pong Steelers, just a point behind, but 2 games in hand. And at bottom of the table, we have rock bottom, 12th place, we've got Daegu FC on 12 points. 11th, we've got Suwon FC. And making up the bottom 3 is Jeju SK on 19 points. So moving on to the G League 1, Saturday 31st of May with Avicii Fukuoka 0, Tokyo Verde 0, SVG Zelva 0, Yokohama Manor 3, Logo Grampus 3, Albert Stigata 0, Kashi Seoul 1, Vissel Kobe 3, Sanfrecce Hiroshima 1, Kawasaki Findali 2, Gambo Osaka 0, Kashi Antlers 1, Kyoto Sanga FC 3, FC Tokyo 0, Sunday, the 1st of June, Seiji Osaka 4, Shimizu S Pulse 2, Shonan Bamari 1, Faji Ano Okayama FC 1, and Ura Diamonds 2, Yokohama FC 1. So top of the table is looking like this. We've got top of the table, we've got Cash Antlers on 40 points, 6-point lead at the top of the table, over Kyoto Sanga FC and Ura Diamonds, who both occupied second and third place, both on 34 points, with obviously Ura Diamonds playing a game more than Kyoto and Kishan playing less, 2 games less. So a couple of games in hand there. And then just outside, in fourth place with Cashew, so also on 34 points. It's 3 sides are on 34 points, but they've all played different matches. They've got a few games to catch up on Cashew and Cashew Antlers. And at the bottom of the table, we have Yokohama F. Mars, rock bottom on 14 points, 19th position. We've got Albert Sgata on 16, 18th, final bottom 3 place is SC Tokyo, and just beside it, by -2 goal difference, is Yokohama FC on 19 points also, and that is all your J League and K League 1 action. So in terms of other Asian football news, South Korea's upcoming qualifier, so they've got 2 matches, and that is Friday the 6th of June, they're playing Iraq away from home, and that is set for 3:15 a.m. Korean Southern Time kickoff. And they also play on Tuesday the 10th of June, where they'll host Kuwait at 8 p.m. kickoff. And obviously Japan have got 2 matches coming as well for the Asian World Cup qualifiers, which obviously Japan have were the first side to officially qualify for the FIFA World Cup. South Korea have yet to do so. So their final two matches will be Thursday, the 5th of June, again away to Australia, which will be a big matchup, and that's set for an 8:10 kickoff, Japan Southern Time. And the second match will be Tuesday, the 10th of June, where they'll host Indonesia, and that's set for 7:35 p.m. kickoff. So in terms of other Asian football news, Lee Kang-In becomes the second South Korean player to win the UEFA Champions League, following their 5-0 win over Inter Milan. And obviously Park Ji-sung was the other compatriot to do so back in 2008 when he won it with Manchester United over Chelsea in Moscow. And also FC Seoul have confirmed the signing of Polish forward Patrick Klimala, who most recently played for Sydney FC, where he's buying the goals in for them. And yeah, he just completed his transfer today, Tom. And I think we know him very well from playing in the Scottish Shores for Celtic a couple of years back. What's your thoughts on that signing, Tom?
Yeah, a really interesting one because obviously we know Patrick Klimala from Celtic. You know, he was signed for Celtic and he was really young. Didn't really work out for him. You know, they had the likes of Odsonne Edouard in front of him at the time, who was Celtic's main striker, so he did struggle to get minutes. And then obviously COVID as well happened during that time, and you know, it was Celtic weren't going through a really good period. So he moved on to the MLS, did well there, New York Red Bulls, and then his career he's gone to different sort of places, not really found anywhere to settle. And he's got this soul move for me on the back of you know, the season he had at Sydney on loan, where he did really well. So I think FC Seoul looked at it and thought, there's definitely something there in terms of him adding something to the squad. I think it's a good move for him because you know, he brings a good physical presence. From when I last saw him, he was quite fast as well. You know, I think he's linking up with Jesse Lingard as well. So that'll be something that will be interesting to see. Never thought I'd see the day where Jesse Lingard and Patrick Klimala be in the same team. But here we are. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. I hope he does well. I really do hope he does well. Because you know, I always thought he was a good player, and yeah, very interesting.
Great insight there, Tom, into Patrick Klimala's history and where he'll fit in this FC Seoul side. But watching FC Seoul recently, the last couple of weeks, what they have lacked is a goal scorer. And I think from his time at Sydney, he will add goals to the side, and that's what that's kind of the missing piece. So I think he'll be the marquee signing, and Lingard has been like the kind of winning number 10 person, the creator, the captain, and I think that link-up play and his deliveries in the passing I'm pretty sure Klimala will bang lots of goals in career. But yeah, so that's all your latest Asian football news.
Thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye-bye.